G'day guys and girls, this is Ballzup and today I'm reviewing The Darkness 2. 2 years after the events of the first game, Jackie Estacado is now the head of the Franchetti crime family. Despite being a host for the Darkness, he's managed to keep the evil spirit at bay and life has been pretty normal since the events of the previous game. But when someone initiates a very public attack on the family, everything turns to shit and Jackie decides to unleash the Darkness and use it to help him get revenge.
Hi, Jackie. Remember us from the Candy Club? Well, do you?
Sure he does.
Trust me, ladies. I wish I did.
Okay, you know how this story starts. In the beginning, there wasn't shit. Literally, nothing but void and darkness.
At first I found the story to be a little bit stock standard and in the beginning it dragged on a little. There was a video to catch you up on the events from the previous game which I liked, but after the initial shock value from the degree of violence, the story didn't seem all that great at first and it almost lost me. And just when I was about 5 minutes away from putting down the controller to call it a night, the plot twisted completely, and that was it. I was locked in and I didn't move until after the credits rolled at around 12:30 in the morning. And this is what I loved about it. The way the story unfolds is fantastic. While a little slow to start, it very suddenly engages you. It's like a book you don't want to put down. It's quality writing in games like this that reinforce the medium as a true form of entertainment and not just a kid's toy.
Hey, Jackie. You ready to do your thing?
Just point me in the right direction, Jimmy.
The best bit about the story is almost impossible for me to talk about without spoiling it, so all I can really say is that as the Darkness starts to manipulate Jackie and play tricks on him, he starts to have these hallucinations and they seriously mess with your mind to the point where it has an effect on where you think the story is going. I won't say any more than that, you really do need to just see it for yourself. Now, as you can see from the video, it is a first-person shooter, but it's a little bit more technical than just shooting at the bad guys. In addition to holding weapons in your hands, the Darkness gives Jackie 2 powerful demon arms, and they can be used for picking up and throwing objects, grabbing and eating your victim's hearts, and that restores your health, opening locked doors, providing cover, and a bit of good old hack and slash melee combat.
But you can't own the darkness. The darkness owns you.
One of the problems with having all these powers is that not only is Jackie's difficulty in controlling them an important part of the story, but there's also the difficulty as a player. This isn't because the control setup isn't good, it's in fact the opposite. It's just that there is so much to learn, especially after you start to upgrade all of your abilities. Once you get the hang of it, it all comes pretty naturally for the most part. Overall though, the combat and gunplay is good. There's a pretty wide array of enemy types which require various methods of attack and that keeps things interesting. Unfortunately though, they all look pretty similar and have pretty similar voices too, but thinking back, I don't think I noticed any overly repeated sound bites, which is pretty rare. And speaking of sound, it's awesome. The voice actors have done a fantastic job and the dialogue is so well written that despite the supernatural themes of the game, you still feel empathy and fondness for the main characters.
Right around the time he died, my father said to me, he said, Jackie, you can't outrun your fate, but you sure as hell gotta try.
And just like in the previous game, Mike Patton from Faith No More delivers an absolute stellar role as the Darkness, which has a very creepy voice that can't be described.
You are my vessel! Flesh is weakness!
On top of the great sound is the wonderful visuals. This video has only been captured at 480p, but when you see it in its full HD glory, you'll just be blown away. It's comic book type look with hand-drawn textures and black outlines around the characters, similar to Borderlands. It fits perfectly, even though this style is becoming a bit more popular these days. It doesn't feel gimmicky here, it feels necessary. And as you can see, it's a big change from the look of the first game, and personally I think it was a damn good decision. Adding to the atmosphere is the music, which you've been hearing in the background for the most part of this video. It's mainly orchestral stuff and it fits the dark tone really well without being too cliched. Now, because the spirit of the Darkness is what it is, it's only helpful to you when you're actually in darkness. If there's any bright light sources around, your demon arms hide away with that all your supernatural abilities are disabled as well. That includes your ability to regenerate health. This obviously is a massive weakness, but it's counteracted by being able to shoot out lights, which makes for some basic puzzle solving sections in the game. Now, I must stress that when I say the puzzles are basic, I really mean it. Don't expect to have to think all that much. And puzzles are only there to give you a bit of a break from all that bloodfest that is the real fun behind The Darkness 2. And since this game is very violent, it's only appropriate that I show you the degree of gore that you'll be subjecting yourself to. So to make this a little less frightening, I've added some music and sound effects to lighten the mood a bit. On the normal difficulty setting, you'll probably get around 6 or 7 hours out of it by the time you finish the game, and afterwards you'll unlock the Campaign Plus mode. This lets you play through again, picking any stage that you want and using all the abilities that you've unlocked during your first playthrough. This is a good, albeit predictable, way to squeeze a few more hours out of the game. There's another reason to go back and play it again, and that relates to the story, but I'll leave that up to you to figure out instead of spoiling it. On normal, I found that I died a lot, so on the harder difficulties, I expect you could almost double the completion time. They've also included a form of multiplayer, which is it's a 4-player co-op campaign that they've called Vendetta. It adds a bit to the story, and you get to play as one of 4 different characters, but to be honest, it felt a little tacked on to me. It might be worth one playthrough for the sake of getting some achievements if you're into that, but it doesn't really compare to the main campaign. Overall, I love The Darkness 2. The huge number of good points this game brings to the table completely overshadow its few flaws, and I certainly recommend that you pick up a copy. From me, it gets a rating of 8.5 balls. Feel free to post some comments or feedback about the game or this review, and if you want to have a chat, you can reach me on Twitter at Ballzup_JB or on osgamernetwork.com. Balls out.
I only care about one thing. I want the darkness.